Okay, next up is Un Chien Andalou versus The Other Side of the Wind. Un Chien Andalou. It's a silent surrealist film that opens with Luis Buñuel, the director himself, on camera, sharpening a razor. He goes over to a seated woman and slits her eye open. Okay. Then there's a guy riding a bike wearing a nun's habit, and then he falls over, and there's a woman who lays out his clothes on the bed, and then he appears, then he's at the door, and then he looks out the window, and there's a box and it has a hand in it, and then there's a piano with 2 dead donkeys on it, and there's 2 priests underneath it, and then he touches her boobs, and then he touches her butt, and then it's her boobs again, and then there's ants on his hand, and then they're on the beach, and they're half buried in sand, and they're probably dead. Beat that for craziness, my friend.
I'll try. The Other Side of the Wind was directed by Orson Welles and released in 2018 after more than 40 years in development. It follows the last day of the life of an old-school Hollywood director featuring documentary-style party scenes, set footage, and entire film-within-a-film scenes from the director's last film.
Okay, first of all, that sounds like a movie.
We don't talk about the movie.
And a story. I hate that movie.
We don't talk about the movie.
I do too.
We don't talk about the movie.
Yeah, it's a big incomprehensible mess, and it's a shame because Orson Welles is a genius. There's lots to recommend about it. If you watch the documentary before it on Netflix, the documentary is really good.
You had.
Yes. And
yes.
That's really good. But
I hadn't. It's one of those films that you find yourself halfway through going, why do I care? Who are these people? What's going on?
Yeah, there's this frenetic energy.
It's
like
frenetic.
In the party.
It's a very good word.
It just like it cuts from one thing to the other, to the other, to the other, and you're constantly adrift. And I know that maybe that's the point, but it's a miserable experience because it's like there's other ways to shoot a party other than 5,000 cuts, and
yes.
It has the late Peter Bogdanovich, who I'm not a huge fan of, but he's very good in the movie.
The man is infested with disciples. I'm the apostle.
He is, actually.
Yeah.
And Orson Welles' I think love interest at the time, her name is Oha, is that right?
Yeah. She's naked a lot, so there's that.
She's stunning
Yeah.
to look at. Camera loves her. She's in the film within the film scenes, and they're visually arresting at times. But again, you have no idea why you're watching them, what's going on. I guess as far as the crazy factor goes, the frenetic energy, the cutting back and forth between real life and the film, how those things reflect on each other.
Is that what this movie's about?
There is a crazy element to it.
I think it makes you feel crazy.
It makes you feel crazy.
Right, but Un Chien Andalou, come on, you just heard the freaking description. There's no way. It is completely bananas, but I will say also that within its world, it is doing this really wonderful thing of creating something that's surreal, which means that it sort of has its feet based in reality, but there is this this offness to what's going on in the film. I love this film. I've loved it for a long time. Buñuel is, spoiler alert, Buñuel is my favorite director of all time, so I love all of his films, but this one is this is the one that started it all. It was a partnership with Salvador Dali, where they talked about a few different dreams they had. They wrote the script. They worked again together. We're not going to talk about that movie, but their relationship fell apart after that. But I love this movie, and I think it is also not just a great movie, it is more batshit crazy than the movie that has a beginning, middle, and end.
Yes. Whatever your taste is for these two films, without a doubt, Un Chien Andalou is the crazier film.
Y'all come back now, you hear?
Things are starting to get really crazy in episode 3. The cook, the thief, his wife, and her lover versus Jupiter ascending.